Hi there. By clicking on this video, I'm gonna say it's safe to assume that you've already seen or heard of the ZamBam incident. But in case you haven't, here's a quick rundown. ZamBam was a TikTok artist who made repetitive content on their account in order to farm for views. After drawing some attention to themselves, another TikTok artist under the name of @ZamBam1_ noticed that their art style looks almost the exact same as theirs. After further investigation, @ZamBam1 discovered ZamBam was tracing their art and then slightly modifying it to try and claim it as their own. Before I continue with this video, I just want to say that ZamBam1 has also made a video describing the issue. And while I am going to talk about ZamBam, I'm also going to be going over how to properly reference someone's art, which is what ZamBam claimed to have been doing. Spoiler alert, they weren't. I've asked and received ZamBam's permission to talk about this, but I still recommend watching their video covering the issue. The link will be in the description. Also, I will be referring to ZamBam as Zeppy, since it's easier to say and they have referred themselves as Zeppy in their video. That being said, let's continue with the video. Our story begins on June 10th of this year, when the original callout was made by Spencer on TikTok. I have no clue how to pronounce their username, but it's on the screen right here. The original callout was for the blatant tracing of TikTok user treelover_5's Miguel O'Hara fan art. After enough backlash from fans, ZamBam's video was eventually taken down, but ZamBam continued to trace other people's work. After the tracing callout made by Spencer, ZamBam began prowling for another artist to trace from, finally landing on Zeppy's account. On July 7th of 2022, Zeppy posted their first TikTok. That remains public anyway. Zeppy very quickly hit the jackpot with 24.1 thousand views. These views were well-deserved, and Zeppy continued to create content and grow their following without knowing their art had been stolen until October of this year, when a friend of theirs reached out asking about ZamBam's account. This eventually led to Zeppy's TikTok on October 6th confronting ZamBam, only for Zeppy to get blocked by the account. After the confrontation, people initially attacked Zeppy for the situation, until further evidence was brought into the light. The argument in defense of ZamBam was that they heavily referenced Zeppy's art. This defense obviously didn't hold, but since some people got a bit confused, I'd like to show you the difference between referencing and tracing people's art. We're just using my drawing tablet right now for this, and we're going to be practicing ZamBam's way of referencing art. And we're taking this image here, we're lowering the opacity, and we're going to be referencing our art right here. This is pretty much what ZamBam was doing. See, they're tracing straight over the art. A little more loose, so there's going to be some differences. It's not exactly perfect, and it's going to look not as great as the original art. I mean, if you spend enough time on it, sure, it's going to look good. But once you have this original trace down here, just this in general, this is when you can start altering it in tiny bits, just like they did with Zeppy's art, to make it seem more original. But as you can see with this side-by-side comparison, these two are extremely similar. Sure, they've got a little bit of a difference, but they are exactly traced from each other. We could take this one step further, which I think ZamBam might have done. We just take our lasso tool here, and we can elongate the head, we can move it around, we can rotate it, making this seem like it's not the exact same as the other one, even though we're still just straight up copying it. When we do something like this, it's a little bit more difficult to tell that it's traced, but this is still tracing. This is not what we want to do. As you can see in this second video, I did get a little off track at the beginning, but I am actually just referencing the exact same image as before. We're trying to get the same feeling down. We're trying to capture that image without directly tracing it, which is what ZamBam was doing. If they were truly referencing it, then this is what it should have looked like. Something that's close to the original image, but you can tell it's in their own style and they did do it in their own time. Okay, I've actually had to record this section like 7 different times. Hopefully it actually freaking works this time, but we're going to be using my sister's art here, and I'm going to be showing you how to properly reference someone's art style if that's something you're wanting to create a similar feeling to. So first, like I do with most of my drawings, I start with the head, and then just the straight down the middle, what the body is doing with their shape. There's not much in this one since it is just pretty much a little bit of a rectangle. We're still going to outline it there because it is a part of the shape and part of the drawing. Next here, just the mouth area, the cheeks here. We'll outline the top part of the eyes and the bottom part of the eyes. The nose, I'm going to assume, is probably right there, but it's not quite visible. Here's where the mouth is. If you want to take it one step further, you can also just kind of draw a circle around where the eyes are to have that placement just mapped out. The neck, just general idea of where the hair was, where the split was. And then we're going to take this drawing and move it to the side. And so now we're going to be using this drawing as reference, and we're going to be trying to draw a character in this style. I'm probably going to do a very similar just idea, the pose here. And we've got that circle from before. Her eyes are really down low. Do this part. And so are her nose and mouth. They're pretty close together. And those are just like this. And as you can see, I'm kind of adding bits of my own style into this because I am trying to reference their style, but I'm not trying to completely replicate it because someone's art style is their art style. Next, we're just giving her some random hair here because we're copying the art style, we're not copying the character. And right here, it's not in the same like pixely look, but you can see it's pretty decent copy. And we're gonna move on to our next one here. This one is a slightly more realistic style. It's still kind of like chibi-ish, and I also did cover this image in my original TikTok about this stuff and how to do it. But we're gonna go over it again here. Start with the circle, like I said before. The line of action, and you can't quite tell because she's wearing this big coat here, but she is curving kind of like this. We'll draw a line from where the shoulder is. I like to connect the shoulder lines down so we can get the body shape, and you can always edit it later, kind of like this. But we're not worried too much about the body shape. We're mostly trying to get the face and just the style in general. Add this. Mark the ears. The eyes are here, nose is here, mouth is here. And then that. Move this over to the side, and we've got just the basic shape of that body. I didn't mark the hair on it, and I didn't go into too much detail with the eyes. And we're going to be trying to draw this style just as one of my characters here. And I'm doing it in a different pose for this one because I can get a little more expressive with it because you got the general idea. And as you can see, already our head shape looks very similar. Mark where the ears are. I'm gonna have her shoulders kind of slanted like this, looking downwards. Arms here. I kind of want her to look up towards the sky. Something like that. That's one eye down. And while it looks a little goofy with the forehead now, once you add the hair and whatnot, that's when it's going to start looking better. And it, of course, doesn't look perfect anyway because this is just a sketch. Eyebrows. And then our hair. And I think our part's gonna go right here actually. And there we go. this is kind of copying that style, referencing that style right here. And although it is pretty similar, it's not the exact same drawing. We didn't just overlay on top of this and trace it like some people have done. And what we really did is we took just a traced reference of this photo, turned it into this, and then we referenced our traced area to make the final outcome. And I'd argue the final outcome looks better than just the tracing. And the same goes for this. This is how it should be done. You can just directly reference this image to that, but don't trace over it. We don't want to lower the opacity just so we can completely copy it. I could go on and on talking about how using like posing apps for references, my opinion with that, because there really is kind of a difficulty telling what is truly tracing when it comes to those versus referencing. I do have my own personal opinion on that matter, but that might be something I cover in a later video. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope this kind of explained a few things. I hope you got the info needed. Make sure you go and check out Zeppy's account at Zeppin1_ on pretty much all social media. Make sure you check out the links to all the other accounts. The clips from the TikToks I used earlier in the video, those will also be linked in the description. You have an amazing day, and